Today, while the situation in the Gaza Strip remains dire, the Security Council failed one more time to adopt a resolution to call for an immediate and long-lasting ceasefire. France voted in favor of this resolution, and we deeply regret that the Council remains unable to speak with one voice on the situation in the Middle East. France has condemned since day one the terrorist attacks committed by Hamas against Israeli civilians, and we reaffirm our long-standing commitment to the security of Israel. There is an obvious urgency to implement an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. This is the only way to guarantee the protection of all civilians and the massive and unhindered delivery of emergency aid. The draft resolution rejected today was also calling clearly and firmly for an immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. As France counts 2 nationals who are still held hostage in Gaza, this remains one of our priorities. Therefore, we deplore today's failure of the UN Security Council. France will remain resolutely committed to the full mobilization of this Council on every aspect of the crisis, security, humanitarian and political, and will actively engage all its regional partners to achieve a sustainable peace in the Middle East. Only a 2-state solution can meet the needs for security of Israel and the Israeli people, as well as the legitimate aspiration of the Palestinians for a state. It requires the creation of a Palestinian state living side by side in peace and security with Israel. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. We stand up quick with Al Jazeera. So what should we expect in terms of next steps, especially as the year is coming to an end and we will have a new administration in place beginning next year? If this has been vetoed today, what are the chances to actually pass anything before the end of the year?
So I think it's a very sad day. I think the Security Council should continue to push. This is obviously a humanitarian disaster, but it's not just a humanitarian disaster. To resolve the humanitarian crisis, you need an immediate ceasefire, and we will continue to push for that in the Security Council, maybe in the General Assembly, everywhere. I know it's difficult. Today's, between you and me, I think it's a very sad day and it's extremely regrettable. This resolution was pretty good. It was sending the right message: immediate ceasefire, immediate and unconditional release of all hostages, and there is no credible justification to object to that.
Thank you. Talal Al-Hajj from Al-Arabiya Al-Hadath. I just want to say something, that this is a terrible message from the Security Council today to the people in Gaza who are looking for the Council for help, and now really there's no end in sight for the suffering and the hunger and the collective punishment. My question is on Lebanon. We understand now that France and the United States will form an observation mission for the border area between Israel and Lebanon, part of the agreement that they are working out now. The Lebanese army will take responsibility of that area, but you will be supervising and monitoring. Can you tell us more about this mission, how it's going to be formed?
Talks are going on. There is, of course, a project to put in place some kind of monitoring mechanism that would accompany a ceasefire in the south of Lebanon. So we are working on that. I think the US are playing a very active role. I hope we will finalize it in hours or days to come. Situation in south of Lebanon is bad, not just in the south of Lebanon, because the whole Beirut is bombed as well. So it needs to happen now, the sooner the better. What we need to keep in mind is that the framework remains the full implementation of Resolution 1701. It's dating 2006. I was lucky enough to negotiate it back then. It's not implemented 100%. It needs to be fully implemented. We don't need another framework. 1701 says a couple of things. It puts obligation on Lebanon, and Lebanon has not fulfilled of its obligation, meaning deploying the Lebanese army to the south. It needs to happen now. This is why France organized a conference in Paris last month and raised money to help the Lebanese army to deploy to the south. This is a key priority. It needs to happen. UNIFIL is not mandated to just enforce peace in south of Lebanon. The Lebanese army should deploy to the south. This is priority number one. Priority number two with 1701 is a full respect of the borders and the territorial integrity of Lebanon, meaning that Israel has no right to stay in Lebanon. So I think it's very clear. So we need these two dimensions. We need to implement this resolution. We need UNIFIL to help. We may need UNIFIL to do more in terms of monitoring the situation in the south, but we will continue to work hard as well.
How soon, just a quick follow-up, how soon do you expect an agreement on this 13-point plan?
I hope it could happen in the next days. I think there is, I hope so. I think there are talks going on, but I will not comment on that. It's not taking place here. Thank you all.
Ambassador, one follow-up on Lebanon.